Hey everyone, Jay Whitner here with Kickstarter Coaching and our internet TV show crowdfunding coverage. If you haven't seen our show before, you're tuning in at a very auspicious time. August of 2014 was a really big month in the crowdfunding space, so let's talk about it. In August, there's big news, which we'll get to in our broadcast. 16 major campaigns in the month that ran $400,000 or more. And those big campaigns brought in $29 million in the month of August. The biggest campaign was The Coolest Cooler, which set a new record, brought in $13.3 million. So in our broadcast, we'll talk about the news and these big campaigns. So first, our news. Venture capitalists are paying a lot of attention to crowdfunding these days, and I've talked about that in prior shows. But some more statistics came out talking about what happened last year. So of the crowdfunding activity last year, venture capitalists really tuned in and paid a lot of attention to 23 of the campaigns last year and funded them to the tune of $200 million already. Now, some of those campaigns ended in late 2013 and will likely get venture capital support, but it just hasn't happened yet. So $200 million for 2013 campaigns. Pretty interesting stuff. On Indiegogo, they set a new speed record in August, the fastest campaign to hit $1 million. It was a campaign for a motorcycle helmet that had like a heads-up display in the helmet for seeing like your speed and stuff of your motorcycle. They reached $1 million in 45 hours on Indiegogo. So congratulations to both Indiegogo and the Scully Smart Helmet. You might recall from a few months back that there was a campaign on Kickstarter called Pono Music. And it was a very successful campaign. It was about people, enjoy the music that they get on their iPhones. It's very convenient and nice, but the audio quality isn't the highest the way they compress the music. So the idea on Pono Music was to have a handheld player that was, much bigger than your iPhone, maybe 3 iPhones or something in volume, that could provide with a higher quality music experience. So they had a good Kickstarter. They raised $6 million on Kickstarter. The news is that in August, they got equity crowdfunding to supplement the $6 million they got on Kickstarter. So now they have another $6 million. They got an equity crowdfunding in 1 week. So hopefully we're going to see more and more equity crowdfunding as things move forward. Most impressive, because normally the equity crowdfunding campaigns, the few that have been done so far, take a while to put together. 1 week is pretty impressive. More Indiegogo news. They're opening a branch office in Chicago, and they're going to be co-locating with sort of an incubator space in Chicago. There's another sign of the growth and maturing power of Indiegogo. And I talked earlier about the Kickstarter record. Well, it turns out that in August, both the major crowdfunding platforms set records for their biggest campaign ever. Kickstarter broke their standing record, Indiegogo broke their standing record. And those of you who've seen prior shows, over the last month or two, they both have also broken records on the number of contributors to campaigns they've gotten. So the signs are just piling up everywhere about the growing power of crowdfunding. And the Coolest Cooler was an interesting project we'll talk about a little bit later. But some of the statistics, I'll look at this chart here. 62,000 people donated to the campaign, which is really, really amazing, bringing in $13.3 million. And got coverage in all the major publications about technology, about money. This happened to be from Forbes. And one interesting thing about this campaign was that the man who ran the campaign ran a campaign for the Coolest Cooler late last year and didn't make his goal. This was his second attempt to raise the money on Kickstarter, and he set the record for the most money ever raised. So what were the cool campaigns that happened in August? What made them unique and interesting? Well, there's a big size range. the campaigns we'll talk about range from about $500,000 to $13 million. From a modest goal of $20,000 they were trying to get up to a goal of $1 million. The video lengths ranged tremendously from just over 1 minute to over 20 minutes. There were a wide number of updates, 7 to 57. Why somebody would do 57 updates? Maybe they don't sleep at night. That seems kind of excessive to me. The campaigns, the length was 27 to 60 days. The current wisdom is 30 days, more or less, seems to be the sweet spot for campaign performance. In the number of rewards that they were offering, 6 to 23. And the average creator had backed 8 campaigns, which shows their support and interest in crowdfunding overall. So our first campaign, a better way to buy a luxury watch. These people raised about $500,000. The central thrust of the campaign was very simple. There's a big markup on watches. We'll cut out the middlemen by doing it through crowdfunding and be able to provide you with a top quality watch at a low price. So the basic concept is pretty straightforward. Their campaign was image rich, lots and lots of pictures of watches, naturally. They did offer multi-unit packages, which some folks do. They had a couple different models of watch, different watch bands and so forth, so you get more than one watch if you wanted. And they listened to the backers and got the backers involved in the process. In what was one example? They got some feedback they should have a sapphire crystal, which is very scratch resistant. So they added that into their campaign because the backers seemed to want it. So the lesson here, listen to your backers. Second campaign was a science fiction campaign about Star Trek. It was interesting in that they had run a campaign recently called Prelude to Axanar. That was a very short film that was 20 minutes long. And the campaign now is Axanar itself. So this Kickstarter had a 20-minute introductory video, which was the video they'd made with the money from the last Kickstarter. So they're sort of bootstrapping their way into a much bigger activity here. The video was great. They spent like $100,000 on their video. It was the video for this Kickstarter. And it shows the serial nature that you can do in some areas on the Kickstarter platform or in the Go-Go as well, that if your idea is amenable to doing follow-ups with different steps, it's very, very good for that because you build an audience as you move through that process. They had some nice stars, both from Star Trek and other science fiction franchises that took part in the Prelude to Axanar video. They showed exactly where the money is going to go. And they're having a series of patches. So sort of you get patches for however many different campaigns that you support, which makes people pay attention and feel like they're part of the whole thing. So I thought that was really smart. The next campaign is unique. This is a campaign for earbuds. And we've seen lots of different campaigns for earbuds in the past, but what's unique about these is they are 3D printed earbuds. They take your phone, you have like a friend scan your ear, take a little video of your ear, and they make the shape of the earbud to fit your individual ear using 3D printing. Not only is it custom shaped for comfort and good fit and all that, but you can make it look however you want. You have thousands of combinations of materials and designs that you can use. So an interesting thing, because 3D printing is very big in the world in general, and certainly in crowdfunding and Kickstarter in particular. Unique aspects of this campaign, something that's pretty new, is it had like a little a marking on the campaign that they were like accredited by Dragon, that they know their stuff. So this means that the Dragon team looked at what they were doing and evaluated their staff and their experience and said, yep, they're good. They know how to do this. They can make this device. Very, very interesting to have that third-party accreditation like that, or validation, saying that they are going to be able to make this complicated hardware product. They also had a development timeline, which showed exactly how long it was going to take and that kind of thing. And they had multiple stretch goals that they reached, and they raised over $750,000. Next, we have a game called Dungeon Saga, The Dwarf King's Quest. Games are big on Kickstarter of various types. There's a lot of video games and tabletop games. This happens to be a tabletop game. And they operate a little differently. They're more complicated in terms of the reward structure and stuff. But in this particular case, they raised over $1 million. They had graphical stretch goals that they really showed visually like what the stretch goals were. And that was like sort of deep down toward the mid or bottom of the campaign. But toward the top of the campaign, they had a little thing that said current stretch goal, which I thought was a smart way to handle that. They showed their rewards in a graphical presentation, which is smart, I think, for these games because it sometimes is complex. And they also had a reward package for retailers. So like if you want to sell their game in your retail store, they had a package in the rewards that were set up for that, which I thought was really smart. I don't know if I'd seen that before. Next, we have an Indiegogo campaign. This is called Tracker Bravo. This is small tracking devices about the size of a quarter, so that if you tend to lose your keys or that kind of thing, you can put a little tracker device on your keychain, and that way you can always find them. So, problem that everybody's had at one time or another. They raised over $1.25 million on Indiegogo for this campaign. They had an interesting thing that I'm seeing more of on the crowdfunding sites is it said in partnership with blah blah blah. So it sort of gives it's another way of doing validation that, you know, it's not just these people, they're also working with these other people. They had some cool add-ons for the campaign that were not really technically challenging, I don't believe, but, you know, are good ways to build extra revenue into your campaign. So you get this little tracker. I think the silver was like the default look of the thing. But for an extra amount, you get a color, have the things be the color that you wanted. You could have them engraved with your name or something. You could also get waterproof covers for them, maybe if you want to put one on your dog or something. So nice, savvy ways to have add-ons that people can purchase to build the total dollars of your campaign. Back to Kickstarter again, we had a campaign called Sense. This is to help you sleep better. A little device that sits on your end table by your bed. It monitors the sleeping environment. You know, did the lights come on in the middle of the night because your kid came up to go to the bathroom or something, or was there a big noise like a truck backfired outside that woke you up? So it monitors the environment to tell you what's going on. And there's also a little device that clips onto your pillowcase, so it can tell if you're tossing and turning in the night. They use all these things to help you sleep better, and you get a sleep score for how you slept that night for all the competitive people out there. What score did you get for sleeping last night? These people brought in about $2.5 million for this campaign. They had nice pictures of the rewards, which makes it all more real to the potential donors. They had multi-unit packages, so that if you want to get them for your brother, your kids, or something, you could have multiple devices you could order together. And they had early bird pricing. Next, we have Stone groundbreaking collaborations. This was a big step for Indiegogo, biggest campaign in Indiegogo history. They broke $2.5 million. And the way they did it was really interesting. This campaign is about a brewery. They make high-end beers, which there's certainly a big demand for beer. But these guys make like luxury, beerophile kind of beers. So that's what they're doing for their campaign, is they're making up new batches of beer and they're pre-selling this beer. They brought in $2.5 million with what I have to say is one of the most unimpressive videos I've ever seen for a major campaign. It didn't really make a lot of sense. It didn't really explain very much. It was not well executed, the video of the campaign. And you've got to make arrangements to pick up your beer because there's legal problems with shipping alcohol to different people. So they're going to establish a few pickup locations where the people can pick up their beer. So let me recap all that. They raised $2.5 million for beer that you may have to drive like a day to go pick up with what in my opinion is a poor video. So really amazing that they were able to do that. Another record, the Coolest Cooler on Kickstarter. Biggest campaign in history. They raised $13.3 million for this cooler. And it's a cooler that has loaded with extra features. The cooler has batteries and lights and a blender and all kind of nice extras to make your outdoor experience a little bit better. It's still $13 million. It's pretty awesome for a cooler. The same campaign, the same guy, tried to do this campaign late last year and didn't make it to his goal. He had a goal of, I think it was 125,000, and he missed it in like October, November, December of last year. He went from missing the campaign to making the biggest campaign in history. And the theory that I have about this is that maybe it was partly the time of the year, the seasonality, that it was very cold when he was running his campaign, like in the wintertime, and just there wasn't so much traction. This time he ran it in the summer, and it was hugely successful. So congratulations to Kickstarter for breaking a new record. He had some nice humor in his video, and he engaged the backers. They got to vote and participate in selecting the color of the coolers. And partly because he's so successful, but he also does consulting about inventions and development. One of his rewards is, in addition to a cooler, he'll have 2 Skype calls with you to evaluate or help you, brainstorm your idea for whatever it might be for your invention. So congratulations again, 13 million bucks. That's it for our show covering August 2014. Hope that you enjoyed it. Check back with us a month from now, and we'll talk about what happened in September. I'll see you then.